This is Tim Wendel with the Johns Hopkins Writing Program, and I want to talk a little bit today about the Nonfiction Template. This is your safety net, regardless whether you're writing a story or an article, whether it may be long or short. Be as original and as varied as you want to be in your structure overall for a piece, but this is where you can always come back to if you're having some problems. So let's review it. You've got the lead, spelled many different ways, also called the opening or the hook. The responsibility of this, what it needs to do is interest the reader from the get-go. It's a battle for eyeballs out there. And if we can, emotionally involve them too. It needs to draw them in. Now, these can range from short summary leads to longer anecdotal leads that utilize scene. In a sense, you use these to really kind of heighten, again, the interest and bring the reader in. What's next in the template? We go from the lead, and that may be long or short, which I'll touch upon in a minute. We go to the nut graph or the theme statement. And this satisfies the question, what is this about? Think about it, sometimes you can have the most beautiful, intriguing writing, but if it doesn't lead somewhere, the reader's going to lose interest. And in a way, that's what the nut graph is. It's a tell, in a sense it's usually not show, it's a tell to the reader, this is what it's about. And it maybe, at least in part, answers the question that the reader has any time to pick something up. They're utilizing their time. They're going to spend some time with the piece. So what's in it for me? If I read this, what can I expect to learn, or what is maybe going to entertain me? These are the number of things that the nut graph needs to kind of utilize and serve. The next point in the piece, as you start to build it, underscores the nut graph or theme statement. It leads back at least a bit. And it can be done with anecdotes. The quotes that you select need to go back to this. The facts, the characters, even the setting in some ways need to lead back to the nut graph. And you start building it. There's point 1, there's point 2, etc. And from there, you just continue. A piece can be, it's very much like if you look at a DVD, the old DVD ones, you punch it up in the menu. And most movies are probably 30, maybe at the most 40 of the little scenes. They'll come up even as numbered. In a way, that's what we're doing here with a nonfiction piece. Point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. And they all have to support, at least in part, what the nut or theme is. They can get quite a bit out. They can go out on a tangent, but they need to at least kind of come back to that nut or theme statement. Think about the last time maybe you put a piece down, didn't get all the way through it. I would venture to guess it probably, as you continued reading it, the various points, quotes, anecdotes weren't supporting what you believed the theme to be or what the nut graph told you early on. Now this works just as well in long form. I think one of the mistakes made in long form is we think we need to overextend. Yeah, the quotes may be a little bit longer, maybe the scenes are a little bit longer, but the thing is, it's probably more points as opposed to stretching the points. Say a long form piece, again, like a movie, may be 30 points as compared to an article for a front of the book, which may be 5, 6, half dozen, maybe at most. So don't overextend. Simply build your points, one upon the other. Endings. Some point the piece has got to end, right? These can be as varied as the leads, and the forms can be summary, anecdotal, restate the theme, kicker quote, etc. And you can kind of come back with a cycle story, but what's the best way to end it? What's the refrain? What's the end note you want things to be? One last thing I'll touch upon too, if we go back, we'll go back here. If we go back to the lead and the relationship with the nut graph, I don't tend to have these be similar lengths. Say I go long with an anecdotal lead with the opening, I will probably go very short with the nut graph. Probably 2, maybe 3 sentences at most. Conversely, if I'm going, say, short with a summary lead, I can go a little bit longer with the nut graph. Again, I'm wary, at least when I build my pieces structurally, about the nut and the theme being almost the same length. I don't think that's the best use of space or structure. Alright, back to endings, and here we go again. Here's the basic template. This is what you have up on your bulletin board, and this is what you can come back to. Yeah, be as creative as you want to be. It's great to be that. It keeps us fresh as writers. But this is what we can come back to if things aren't quite working. The lead hooks the reader. Nut graph or theme. What's it about? What's in it for me? Then build those points. Point 1, point 2, point 3. And again, these can take all different types of forms. They can take quotes. They can be scenes. They can be just quick bits of information, and then the story builds, or the article builds, and we just keep going through the various points you feel the piece needs, and then we end it in some way. This is what you hang on to. This will get you through the long nights when you're trying to figure out, how am I going to put this thing together? Anyway, this is Tim Wendel. Thanks for listening.